Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
I am super excited to dig into what we're going to talk about today because I have so many questions. I'm guessing you do too, because it comes around with this thing called karma. Is it real? Does it exist? Have you experienced it? Have you seen other people experience it? She is somebody that can give you answers in your life, your relationship, financing, career. And she does that by way of her intuitiveness, tarot card readings, energy, and all that. She is definitely the intuitive one, and she's back with us. How are you?
I'm
you
so
doing there?
excited, Steve. Always a pleasure to be on your show. I love you. I love your energy, and I appreciate you always.
Oh, same here. Ayana Kay joins us. And this karma thing, in your opinion, is it real?
Yes.
I agree.
It's absolutely real. Absolutely real.
Is there good karma?
I was going to say.
And bad karma?
There is good karma and there is bad karma, because it's all based on the energy that you kind of put out is the energy that kind of comes back to you. You ever heard of them say kind of be good, do good, you know? So like most people don't pay attention, right? So they're thinking these type of thoughts of negativity towards people, and something bad happens in their life and they're like, why did this happen to me? Well, what type of energy were you kind of putting out there for people? You know what I mean? And so it happens whether you realize it or not. And so I like to say, I like to have good karma, right? Do good, be good, do something kind for someone. So that energy kind of comes back to you. But people are, again, they're in that matrix.
And I just want to say that you shouldn't be doing things expecting good things to come back. You shouldn't be doing all those good things. Yeah, because I want it coming back to me. Because I think that messes up the whole karma thing and the intent. It should be just do the right thing. I always say, just do the right thing. Right. That's all we ask. And the universe brings it back.
It resonates with you. Yeah, because you can feel it, right? It feels good. And so not to get something back, but just to know consciously, okay, I feel good. I've done something good. Not that I'm expecting something in return, but to know that my conscience is clear, if you would.
Yes.
And you know what's funny, as I was digging deeper into this concept of karma, I realized that there's 12 laws of karma. Okay. And so there's the great law, which is kind of the law of cause and effect. So it's like we were saying, what energy you put out there kind of comes back to you. And then there's the law of creation. And so it's kind of what you use your talents and gifts for. You are talented in doing what you do, which you've done for years. So that's your law of cause and effect. So what you're putting out is coming, you're getting good benefits from it, which all falls under karma too, right? And I think that goes with people in any career, right? In terms of what they do for a living and how they interact with people and how it comes back to them in their energy on a day-to-day basis. So, and then there's the law of humility, right? Because first we have to give thanks and grace. And this is all falling under that precept of the 12 laws of karma. So that's law number 3. And that's meaning for you to kind of embrace this feeling or state of being of humbleness or humility. Right. And then there's the law of growth, which is kind of growth within ourselves and expansion and how we kind of allow ourselves to elevate, develop, and grow. Self-help, spiritual books, and those type of things. We talked about all those type of teachings, right?
Right.
That exist for us. We were talking about that last week, I think. We may mention like Wayne Dwyer and Rhonda Burns and Eckhart Tolle and all those wonderful spiritual teachers, Deepak Chopra, that kind of help us for growth, if you would. And then the law of responsibility, right? Because we're responsible for how we kind of live our lives and the things that we do. It's all us doing it. We're the creator of our reality, in truth. And most people don't even realize that they're creating their life based on their thoughts and their feelings, right? And then there's the law of connection. So we're at law number 6, which is kind of stating that we're all connected to each other, whether we want to believe it or not. And so we want to be conscious of how we treat people either way, because it's all part of the same universe, if you would. And remember, we touched on that last week where I was talking about the word universe, which is kind of you and I verse, you and I talking. It's like we're talking to that higher energy source, call it what you may, right? So it's
I
all
never thought of it
connected.
in that way with the you
Yeah,
in the verse. So
you
interesting
and
way
I
to look at
verse.
it, which brings it all around where we are connected somehow, some way in this thing called the universe.
Yeah. And then the other law is, and I'm looking over here for reference, right? Because there's 12 of them. The
Mm-hmm.
law of force, which states that you cannot put your energy towards two things simultaneously. So you focus on one thing at one time. And so I kind of made mention of this before too, where I said two thoughts don't exist at the same time.
Yep.
So you're either consciously focusing on something good or you're consciously focusing on something bad. But you're responsible for those thought processes either way, right?
And you
And then
are
there's the
what you
law
are.
of,
The one thing we have a little wonky internet connection, so if I'm delayed or you're
yeah, I'm
delayed, that's
hearing that.
why.
I see that happening.
Um,
Yeah,
you are what you think. So if you're thinking negative
pretty much.
thoughts, that's kind of where you're directing your energy to go. So you got to be
Yeah,
mindful of all that.
exactly. And but that's the thing where people are not consciously awake. And you yourself made mention of, you said, um, everything I need is inside of me.
Yep.
And I like to say, if you don't go within, you will go without, right? So if you don't
Mm,
consciously create your reality, if you would, the things you'd like to experience in life, you won't experience it because you have to put that energy out there, right? And so you said everything you need is internal, and so by that, I guess you're meaning that you're kind of co-creating with the universe, if you would, in terms of what you want to experience in your reality,
for sure.
right? Yeah.
Without a
The
doubt.
other thing is the law of here and now. Yeah. Well, the law of here and now is kind of saying we're living in this moment, which I like to say is a gift, a present moment, which is why it's called the present, right? That's another way kind of looking at it, if you would, because it's a gift, right? It's a
Mm.
moment that has been sent to us. It's a present moment, right? And so it's the gift in of itself that we get to experience life again. So that's always exciting. And then there's the law of change, which is, I'm getting here that it says it's a sign from the universe nudging you to make some sort of difference in your life and to learn some sort of lesson, which is interesting, right? And
Hmm.
then there's the law of patience and reward, which says hard work pays off. So what you put out comes back to you. So, you're working hard. You said you've been doing that since 17, and look how successful, you've become after working so hard, focusing on your craft, right?
I'm a little kid having fun. That's really it's really what it is. It's like I'm responsible, but I kind of
It
never grew
is,
up.
because when you follow your passion, you thrive. Yeah, and you're having fun, and that's kind of what it's all about because you're happy, following your passion is kind of like effortless success, right?
You're doing what you were destined to do in terms of guiding people and using your intuition. Do you think,
Yes.
and interesting that those 12 laws, because I'm getting from most of them that it really comes back to what you put out is what you're going to get back. Even what you're thinking.
Right.
If it's negative, you're going to get negativity back. All of that. It seems
Yes.
to be that is the general umbrella rule around all of that. When it comes to
Yeah.
karma, when it comes to
Yes.
karma, do you think that past lives come into play? So let's say something took place in a past life
Yes.
and now the karma is coming back in your present life and then, it could be that way in the future.
Absolutely. And it's funny you say that, right? Because I just read on that. And it says there's three types of karma. Okay. And this is kind of under the principles of Buddhism, if you would. And it's called prarabdha karma, which encompasses the karma you've accumulated in this lifetime. So there's a sum of all your past karmas called sanchita. And then there's karma called agami, which is karma from your current decisions that you've made and actions that you've taken. Because still, you are all things, right? Your past, your present, and kind of your future, because you are consciously thinking and consciously creating. And so it's not like you are where you are. You take yourself with you wherever you go. So there's no separation, if you would. You know what I mean? In terms of your thought processes and kind of what you're putting out there, because you can't take it back. And here's the other thing, that people always live in the residue of what they thought about last, right? And so that's why I said your power is now, because everything is happening now, but people mostly are stuck in the past. They're not in this present moment where you're in this state of grace, where you're kind of like appreciating everything that's happening for you in this moment. Like we're talking right now, like we can't get this moment back again. And so we're not kind of stuck in the past over, what just happened 10 minutes ago, that type of energy. We're present and we're in this grace. And so what's happening, we're creating our future as we're living it now, which is interesting.
It really is. What's almost scary though, is
right.
now that I'm thinking about, our thoughts, and we all have, negative thoughts will pop up. You don't even know you're doing it. You should be more mindful of it. But
Right.
from this point forward, I'm going to be more mindful of those thoughts that come up. Even if you judge somebody that walks by, well, look at them, in your mind, because it's like you're saying it. If you're thinking it,
Pretty much.
you're projecting it to the universe in some form, because your thoughts
Absolutely.
become the reality. You may have not
Well,
verbalized it, but it
yeah,
was up here.
it was up there. And so you put any attention towards it,
Right.
it's kind of existing, right?
Attention or intention.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to all thoughts that ever exist still exist, which make up that universe, if you would, right? And so
Yes.
you think about it, you spend at least 17 seconds on it, it can become part of reality, right? And so you want to be kind of conscious, because most people aren't even paying attention to the time space reality, if you would, in terms of the energy that's expressed. The last law, though, that I want to mention is the law of significance and inspiration, which tells us that we all have value to give. And so we have unique gifts that we're sharing with the world, and we're supposed to be making a positive impact, right? And no matter how small or big, whatever contribution, you see someone on the street who needs money, you know what I mean, a homeless person or something, and you give them $1, or you know what I mean, any little type of conscious effort is kind of what is supposed to propel us on a positive note. And we should be just living like that. And it resonates because it feels good when you do something for someone else, right? So that's kind of what that law is saying. Whatever you boost, whenever you need a boost of motivation, remember you only get what you put forth. It comes back. And that's kind of the premise of the whole law of karma. And it's really called the law of cause and effect. Right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting. I thought that was kind of cool to tap into.
Totally. Yeah, definitely makes you think even deeper. Have you or somebody you know experienced what you feel is true karma? And let's I don't want to be negative here, but let's go with the bad karma. Somebody did something came back,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know what? That
Right.
ties into that. Anything like that ever present itself to you in your world,
Well,
or those around you?
consciously, yeah, well, I would imagine so, right? But I feel like you have to consciously pay attention and say, it's probably because I did that. That came back. Me personally, I try to live in a state of putting only good energy out. So I only expect good to come back to me. And then, I purposefully say only good comes into my experience, right? And so I'm only looking for that. So I have to now pay attention specifically. The only way I can imagine this could be, right, if any negative energies come in, if you would, I would feel like somebody has done something where they intentionally did that. You know what I mean? And it's hard to explain in that light, right? Because if I know that I'm a conscious creator, meaning I'm specifically focusing on the law of deliberate intent, right? which is where I'm consciously saying, I would like to experience this. I'm looking for this to happen. And we're not always in that mindset, right? Things do happen because the only thing we can control is the direction of our thoughts and our feelings at any given moment. And the universe is responding to how we think and feel. So I would imagine that, I know because I pay attention. What I put out there kind of comes back to me. And so it's good because I'm putting good out. And so I expect that back. So I feel like that happens in my life on a day to day. But on a negative space, if I think years back, I would imagine, some negative things. It's been so long, I can't even remember any,
Well,
any.
that's a good thing.
Yes,
And,
that's why I said it would have to be outside of me.
Ayana, have you ever had this where you're doing the right thing, you are, and then things just pop up in front of you and they're just good. And you look at it like, wow, that was easy. I thought that was going to be hard. Or maybe you came into some money, you weren't
Yeah,
expecting it. Wow, look at that. That came my way. Ha. And it's just one thing after another. Do you feel
yeah,
that is the universe
yeah.
karmically
I
supporting you?
feel like it is the universe giving back for what you put out there. The
Yeah.
universe rewards you. Absolutely. I feel like it definitely does that. If you constantly put bad out, the universe says, okay, you did that. Here's more bad for you. You do
Mm.
good. Here's some good stuff because you've been a good person. And I feel like I said, the universe is responding to your thoughts and your feelings, right? Not necessarily just what you're thinking only, but how you think and feel in any given moment. It's called the vibrations. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And so it's thought coupled with emotion. And so when you're creating something, let's say you're thinking and you're feeling about it. Because I always say when you are manifesting that you have to feel it before you see it until you know it before it
Yep.
becomes, right? And so you have to be constantly thinking and feeling and then things start showing up in your life, right? Because then you become a good manifester. But you could be
So,
doing that in a state of negativity, and then that comes into your life too. You know what
all
I
right. So
mean?
I want to address
You
that
could
because
be
you're making me think. So here's the thought I had. I've
okay.
heard in and more recently that we were designed to be here to
Mhm.
have a wonderful life, to feel
Yeah,
fulfilled, to feel joy,
right,
to everything.
right.
It's just wonderful life. This is just so great, fantastic. That's the way it's supposed to be. And
Correct.
the universe wants that for all of us.
Right.
However, do you feel that because of sometimes and everybody doesn't do the right thing at some point. Sometimes things pop up. You might not
Right.
handle, something the way it maybe should have been handled. Yeah, we're human.
Right.
You feel that when those things pop up or those situations around, or you have a negative thought or you react negatively, that you're pushing away that good stuff that was supposed to come to you, that we were designed to embrace.
Yeah. Well, that's the rub, right? Because you can set that into you kind of have to stop facing reality while creating reality. And what does that mean exactly? That means how do I get to stay in this space of joy, right? Where I am now consciously creating with the universe and allowing that good that I want to experience to flow into my life without kind of getting into this negative space because negative things have been happening. How do I ignore that and still maintain my joy? And that's the rub, right? And
Mhm.
so that's where we were talking about maybe you go on a rampage of appreciation, right? So you lift your energy and lift your vibration. So now you're on the frequency of the universe, which is pure love, pure joy, and pure happiness, right? And so, how do we stay in that grace? So, walk your dog, watch a funny movie, because your normal state of being is pure positive energy and pure happiness. And so the universe wants that for us because that's what the energy is. It's really pure positivity, right? And so the divine, the universe, source, whatever you call it, is they don't create negativity. That's a man-made concept because in truth, When you connect with the divine, it's a feeling of nirvana, if you would. It is so much elation. It feels like love. It feels like joy, feels
Mm,
like happiness. It feels good, right? And so it's not negative. But with life, we don't control circumstances, situations, and events. The only thing we control is the direction of our thought and how we feel at any given moment. And so with that in mind, it's like, okay, well, this happened. That's something that's upsetting to me. How do I maintain my state of grace and joy when I have to deal with this negative event? And that's the rub, right? And
mm.
that is where you have to decide for yourself. It's not something, it is a conscious state of being. So it's like unconditional love, right? So I'm going to be happy regardless of what's going on, and that's just a choice of how I want to live. So it's not a person, it's not a thing, it's not a circumstance. And you're lucky if you get to live your passion and be happy. And so you're always in this state of grace. But you have to choose to feel good because a lot of things are wrong. You know what I mean? But you have to decide, well, how am I going to transcend that and still get up every day and be happy to keep moving on? And that's the rub. And so you do things that make you feel good, go for that walk, pet the dog, do something that is good for you.
You know, it's
That's a
interesting. You
good
you
thing.
said these words before, and they almost don't go together. But you said, uh, "Go on a rampage of appreciation," and it's almost like,
Yeah.
yeah. But normally, when you use the word rampage, go on a
Right.
rampage, you don't connect appreciation,
Well,
and right
yes.
away, I get like, just become
Right.
a gratitude warrior. That you practice gratitude.
Pretty much.
Hmm. Wow. And I love the fact that you
Pretty
talk
much.
about
And when
those
you what you appreciate appreciates.
the simple
Mhm.
stuff. You can appreciate the $1 million. You can appreciate that just as much as the opportunity to walk outside, because you can walk outside. Many can't. Um,
Absolutely. Right.
and be able to see, breathe, and experience the air, nature, and really truly
Right.
enjoy it, really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
there's many people that can.
Right.
You
Well,
know.
that's the gift because we take things for granted. And that's where that law of humility comes in. Because in truth, and if I get even deeper, right, where I'm going to say that in truth, you are a spiritual being, which I kind of touched on before, which is thought completely having a human experience. You're not a human being having a spiritual experience. And so first it's thought, then thought form, then physical, right? And so a lot of people have it backwards. And so thought is everything. And
Yeah.
like I said, thinking tied in with emotions is pretty much your guidance system, leading you to listen to the call of source, if you will, or the call of the universe, which is guiding you to feel good, and your higher self, your God self, whatever you want to call yourself, it's never going to lower its vibration to the feeling of negativity because it's too busy focusing on good for you. It's too busy focusing on everything working out for you to bring itself down to a lower vibration, if you would. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
By the way,
Sorry
I
about
want to
that.
tell you that I'm reading a book about
Yeah.
manifestation.
Oh, good.
Only about 12 pages in, but 2 days ago,
Uh-huh.
I read just what you said, that we are spiritual beings in a human presence, not the other way around. And
That's
the
it.
more and more I
That's
look
right.
into this, study it,
Mhm.
observe, I
Yeah.
totally agree.
It
This
makes
is just
sense.
this is just a vessel. This is just something, a container for the
That's
spirituality.
it.
And you know
That's
what?
it.
You know what makes me believe it even more? When
Mhm.
you talk to a psychic and a medium,
Yeah.
and there are some that aren't legit, but there are some that can bring messages from a loved one that has passed over, and it is
Absolutely.
it, I have friends that do it. I want to punch a hole in it. How
Well,
you
I
doing
can
that?
do that too, but
What's the,
because so if it wasn't true, right? Then how, as a medium, how would I be able to connect with the
that's
deceased loved ones?
that's my point. That it's
Right.
specific and validated, and there's no possible answer for why it's happening other than you're able to do it. That
Right.
being said, to me, that means that your spirit is still here. The person
Well,
that
that's
passed on, there's still a spirit that you as a medium are able to tap into, which
absolutely.
backs up the fact that this is just a container. You are having a,
Which is, it's the shell that carries your soul,
that's
because
it.
when you pass on, the body disintegrates, but the soul carries on. And if
That's the
that
point.
wasn't true, all these spiritual beings wouldn't be making mention of their ability to connect. And they all kind of say, any people who had any connection with, I don't know, maybe experiencing a near death experience or so, they all make mention of that light, and you
Yes.
know, the fact that there's family or whatever energies on the other side waiting for them. And that's that invisible spiritual realm, if you would, that anybody can access at any time,
Yeah.
because the truth is we're all spiritual beings having a
Yeah.
human experience, right?
How do we
There's some
connect with
books.
you? We're just about out of time.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I
and I know
want you
I'm
to look
sorry if
at a book though.
I'm sorry if I cut you off sometimes. We have a little wonky internet
No, I
connection.
know, I see that. It's fine. I just want to tell you really quick, a good book, which is a point of reference as you're on your spiritual journey, which was so helpful for me. And it was
Please.
called Ask and It's Given. Okay. And it's by Jerry and Esther Hicks. And it's wonderful teachings. It's the teachings of Abraham. And it's from the premise of a medium, if you would. So she's kind of channeling the universe, if you would, but specifically the consciousness of Abraham. And all these things that we're kind of talking about and touching on, where all these enlightened beings kind of are making reference to, you know, you'll find that in there and it will resonate with you. So that would be good for us to kind of follow up on in our next discussion, if you would. But you can reach me, you know, my email is ayana@theintuitive-oracle.com. I'm on Pinterest under the Oracle 151. I have premium.chat / the Intuitive Oracle. I'm on Instagram, the Intuitive One 37. I've got my websites, theintuitive1.org and the Intuitive Oracle, theintuitive-oracle.com, my website. You can find me there. And of course, my phone number, 914-826-7837.
Always great talking
So
with
that's how
you.
you can find it.
And thank you for the book idea. So Ask and It's Given, or Ask and It Is Given.
Ask and It's Given by Jerry and Esther Hicks. It's a wonderful book. I walked with that book. I took it with me wherever. It was so enlightening. And also The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's a wonderful premise of kind of, you know, stepping into your grace of everything that's happening now and understanding spiritual principles. It's wonderful. It's absolutely great. That's a good place to start, if you would.
Super cool talking with you today. Like a lot of the things are coming clear.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting, we started talking about karma and we got into a totally, not a totally different direction, but we kind of pivoted in some different areas, but it started with karma.
It did. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Steve. I look forward to it every week.
Same here, Ayana. All right. Have a great weekend. We'll talk soon. Okay.
You got to take good care of
You
it,
too.
okay?
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.